Hello, Professor Haig. This is Jack Heitman, and I'm here to present on the 4 new ideation strategies that we learned at the end of the Innovation Amphitheater a couple Saturdays back. So the first being, be less than all you can be. And so, first off, the way that I really interpreted this was to really make just something much more simple. And so, in essence, a strategy to think of objects with multiple uses and potentially exemplify just one of those uses and make it very much more simple in a way. And so I guess you'll see that in my examples. The first being like a Swiss Army knife with obviously all its tools. But I was thinking you could make this more simple by just having one large knife, like a hunting knife or something like that, but in its handle have like all the other tools. So it exemplifies just the one major characteristic, which is the knife, but could have potentially other uses as well. Another thing I thought of was like thinking about the iPhone with so many different uses there. But I thought of you could potentially make it into a hand mirror that just looks like an iPhone. So if think about all the kids that are too young to have an iPhone yet, or just want to be cool in middle school or elementary school, whatever it is. They could have a hand mirror that is essentially looks like an iPhone from the back. And so that's another way of making an iPhone much more simple. My third example from this strategy is very similar to that last example, and it's that using a video game console. And basically what you do is turn it into a book stop for a bookshelf, where it would look exactly like a video game console. People that are collectors or have like an old model of a console, they could use that for their bookshelf and have a nice little design aspect to their room. So this brings me into the next strategy, and that is the island of misfit toys. And so for this one, I decided that it made most sense to me that you take normal objects or normal projects, whatever it is, and try to make them something like weird or make them misfit or something strange about them. And you'll see this in my examples. The first being like a massive 1-gallon mug, so like a coffee mug, rather just being just simple small. You could actually make it be about like a gallon, and while it might be unrealistic for use, it could be just like a funny present or something like that. That's what I was thinking. Another good example of this would be like a book. Maybe it's your favorite book, like The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, whatever it is. You can like just a collector's item, but you can make it super super small. So like you can have a bunch of your favorite books, like all like in a little mini bookshelf or something. I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool. Lastly, what I thought for this one is a Rubik's Cube that I would actually fit into a whole room. And so a whole classroom, whatever it is, the whole class could actually work together to try to solve that Rubik's Cube together, and it'd make it a larger than life scenario, basically. And so going into the third would be the opposites attract strategy. Now this strategy I decided to define as primarily combining items together, but specifically focusing on items that are normally completely opposite from each other. So it's similar to a combo, but you want to try to focus your ideation on things that are completely separate. And so my examples, they're quite spread, but first being you could be using this strategy opposites attract in design, and so that could be with misfit or opposite colors, and this is actually used today, I'm sure, but clashing colors, clashing designs, using that into basically art or whatever it is could be a valid strategy. Another example I was thinking of would be the Healy. It's already an object out there, and it could be considered a combo as well. But what I think is really interesting about the Healy is that when you think about transportation, you must either you're going to either walk somewhere or you're going to take transport, whether it's like a bike, skateboard, whatever it is. The cool thing about the Healy is that it kind of combines those two ideas together, where you can either walk or you can skateboard, which is kind of a cool idea of bringing two opposite ideas together. The last one is another one that does exist today, and it's really the most classic, and that's the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which brings together salty and sweet, two very opposite things, but it's combined to be one of the most perfect sandwiches there are in history. So I was thinking, there's got to be other mysteries out there waiting to be discovered through the opposite use, whether it's salty, sweet, sour, whatever it is. That's a valid strategy to bring opposites together to create something that's potentially very amazing. So this brings me into the last strategy, which is the donut hole, not the donut. And so what I decided for this one is that you would use a well-known object for a completely different use. And so, for example, I was thinking like a tin can of food. I had a tin can of almonds right here. I was thinking you could use something like that for a cup to drink from, utensil holder. Just try to use something, that's kind of like an average thing you see laying around, but use it for something completely different. I think that's a great thing for the aspect of focusing on the donut hole, which is not the actual donut. Anyways, another example I had for that one was like a plastic bag, something that you would think would just be carrying something around. But you could also potentially use it for like a wind gauge, seeing like which direction the wind's flowing, for example. And lastly, I decided that another good example would be a phone case that maybe works better as a frisbee instead. So you could take it off and toss it as a frisbee, and who knows if it works well as a phone protector, but it'll focus on the frisbee aspect. And so that's basically using an object that you think would protect your phone, but using it for something like for entertainment, for example. So that's the idea of the donut, not the donut hole, not the donut. But anyways, thank you, Professor Haig. Thank you for a great class a couple Saturdays ago, and logging off. Thank you.